Always a pleasure to catch up with the chairman of Matchroom Boxing. He is the one and only Eddie Hearn. Here he is, just after a workout, Eddie.
Do you know what? I did run today, Aaron. It was hard. Nothing in the tank after last week. Yeah. Disappointing run, but we got it done.
Okay, well done, as always. By the way, did you know that this was called a slitter, as Ian said?
Absolutely not at all. You learn something new every day.
There it is.
What a character.
Amazing. He's a great young fighter from Ireland as well. I'm going to ask you about one of your Irish fighters in a moment, but could I ask you this, Eddie, off the top? I was talking to my producer in the back before the show, and I say that the worst text that I can get, other than health stuff, of course, family stuff, about my job, is when I wake up on a Monday or a Wednesday to a text like, hey, I can't come on the show. I have to cancel. What is the text like when you get, Dillian White is out? Where are you when you get that text? And what is the feeling inside when you find out that Dillian White can't fight?
Sadly, you become numb to it, in all honesty. Like, I remember when Jarrell Miller failed his drug test and we sold out Madison Square Garden, I felt like I was going to pass out. It was like I had to go into a room. I sat down. I was like trying to get my mind straight, thinking about what to do. But then you have Jarrell Miller. You have, other episodes. You have the the Conner Benn saga for the last year. And then you get that news and it's just like, I was about to go for dinner and I just looked up and I just said, you're not doing this to me again, are you? But then it's like, what are you going to do? It's just, that's why we are what we are. That's why we're so good at what we do. The first thought goes to Anthony Joshua. What does he want to do? He's done 12 weeks in Dallas with Derek James. Does he want to fight? Is he going to want to fight? And when he woke up in the morning, the first thing he said was, find me someone to fight. And as soon as he said that, we were in game mode. We were ready to go out, make a deal. Obviously, from then, you've got 30 people hitting you up to try and get the fight. They want 5 million, 10 million. They want this, they want that. And you have to act quickly. You have to act with people that you know and won't let you down, people that are prepared to get on the plane. That was Robert Helenius. And, a lot changed. AJ showed me a lot about his mentality last week. Obviously, the money was very different. The fight was taken off pay-per-view. But he just showed me that he's a hungry fighter who has worked tirelessly in camp and wanted to get the opportunity to perform. So Helenius it was, big guy, very respectable. And after a little bit of a slow start, because I think that's the narrative now around AJ, one of the knockouts of the year. So all in all, job done.
Was anyone else close to getting that fight? Like Ruiz, was there anyone closer, or was it always Robert once the dust kind of settled?
It was really Ajit Caballel was a guy who we'd previously negotiated with, but we had to work fast, 24, 48 hours, and whoever was prepared to come out and obviously, sign the deal, get on the plane the next day, that was key.
Did you consider cancelling the card?
It was really on him. He had to take a lot less money for that fight. So all of a sudden, it was like, what do you want to do? Do you want to fight? And because of the Deontay Wilder fight in January, it was really important to him to fight because he didn't want to wait till November, December. Then that delays the Wilder fight. So he's been feeling great in camp and he wanted to get out there.
Okay. When you're sitting there and your guy's out there and this is a big fight, I had said, and who the hell am I, considering how Wilder beat Helenius and how quick and dominant it was, it would be nice to see AJ do it in maybe sub 4 rounds. Once you start to hear the boos third and fourth, what are you feeling?
Do you know what? Not even third and fourth, second and third. Amazing, really. Like there's a narrative that AJ is just not as aggressive as he was before, and people jump on that, especially when they've had about 10 pints. So I thought that came quickly, but when you've changed styles, you've been working on a guy for 6 weeks, all of a sudden you've got like this 6'8", different style with a long jab and a good jab. Like, you're going to take time to break him down. You've got potentially the Wilder fight at the end of it. You're just not going to take chances. And he broke him down. He took his time and he delivered one of the knockouts of the year. So all in all, we were happy.
Were you getting nervous at all at any point? No? Did I lose you?
Sorry.
Oh. Do you hear me?
You got me, Aaron?
Yeah, I got you. I hear you. Do you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Were you getting nervous at all at any point?
Yeah, for sure. Because obviously I knew he'd be getting frustrated. All of a sudden the crowd were booing. And like, it was just a situation where I didn't want him to get frustrated and make a mistake, stay calm. And I think that's what he did. If you look at his footwork in the fight, it's improving so much. And he's going to have to be the complete fighter to beat Deontay Wilder. And we like what we saw.
How do you describe who Anthony Joshua is at this point? Because like even in the post-fight interview with Ade, it's like he's like, I don't really want to talk. I just want to go to the back. There feels like there's some sort of distance that he's trying to create between him and the public. And I can understand after his Usyk fight last summer, around almost exactly a year ago, I remember doing an interview saying like, I feel like he is kind of mistreated by the British public, that they treat him a lot harder and are a lot tougher on him than, say, Tyson Fury, and they scrutinize every little thing that he does, and he just kind of broke in that moment in Saudi Arabia. And so now my impression is, correct me if you feel otherwise, he's just like, I just don't want to deal with any of this. Like, I'll do the bare minimum, I'll talk to, X amount of people, but like, I'm done giving you guys things to latch onto and criticize me. Is that where he's at right now in his career? And if so, why?
Honestly, you hit the nail on the head. He's tired of trying to say the right thing, get criticized. He just wants to fight. He's not interested in the media. He's not interested in talking up the fight. He wants to do his work, get in there and win. And I think he's realized over the years he can't win outside of the ring. If he doesn't say too much, he's boring. If he says something controversial, wow, AJ's lost his mind. It's like, so I think that he was frustrated with the booing, I think, and I think when he delivered the knockout, that's why you got the celebration.
Yeah.
He jumped out the ring to see his family, bumped into Conor McGregor, had some Irish style. That was a bit of a strange one, but all in all, it was interesting pictures.
What was your experience like with Conor ringside as opposed to the one in May?
He was calmer than Dublin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just slightly.
He pulled up in a minivan with like 10 girls, and I think his boxing coach was there.
He comes with his own security.
Yeah.
So they're all coming, ringside, front row, and our security are checking people. And then it's like, there was a little bit of madness, but all in all, look, he brings massive eyeballs to the event. So the broadcaster's happy. When he arrived, he's like, come on, let's get in the ring. I'm like, what? And Gerald Washington was about to ring walk. He was standing on the stage. And I was like, the next thing he's in there, he's, shadow boxing, hitting the canvas. I'm like, what? But what a character.
Is this like a series of one-offs with him? Because he speaks very highly of you.
So it was a new deal for the AJ fight and the Cameron Taylor rematch.
Okay.
Coming up.
Okay.
So we'll see him again in Dublin, and hopefully you'll be there, Eric.
Yes. I want to ask you some more about all of that, but going back to AJ, had he won a decision, would the Wilder fight still be in play? Did he have to stop Helenius to make that fight as big as it is?
I think it would have still been in play, but maybe not with the same value. I mean, we all know you can talk about the fight how you wish, but that knockout clip will be played everywhere, and virally, probably two of the knockouts of the year from the last year have been Deontay Wilder on Helenius and AJ on Helenius. You're talking about the two biggest punchers in the division, the two fastest hands in the division. That fight is one of the greatest fights of our generation, and it's one you watch like this through your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
They both have tremendous power. They both have tremendous speed. The fight could go either way, but when you deliver a knockout like that, it just adds to the anticipation of the fight. And Saudi representatives are in London this week. They're going to be here in the office joining us to try and get that fight made.
I heard that you were asked after the fight, could anything happen? I think it was from IFL. You did like 48 interviews with them over the past week. It's unbelievable. Like, what could they possibly have to ask you 12 hours later? I don't understand. But anyway, it's great content. What could stop the fight from being made? And you said Saudi. And so then what I was thinking was, why does it have to depend on Saudi? Like if Saudi, for whatever reason, falls through, why can't it happen at the O2?
Good point. I mean, it doesn't, but the levels financially that we're looking at, obviously it's a premium in Saudi. And this fight can get made in Vegas. This fight can get made at Wembley. But, the money that's in play makes the fight happen immediately. And, another reason why I'm confident this fight happens is because it's Saudi and Skills Challenge negotiating individually with each party. to get it done. So it's not me trying to make the fight with Deontay Wilder on the zone or whatever. It's Saudi making the independent individual offers to both parties. So no ego, no politics, no history. Just you do your deal, we'll do our deal. We'll see you there.
And do you have a date already?
Middle of January. They're looking at middle to end of January. And originally it was planned for December. And, Deontay Wilder's talking about fighting in October. We hope that's not the case because we don't really want to wait. We want to make sure we get this fight done. If he has a routine win, understandable. But, we're coming up to September now.
Right. So how real is that? I heard you say that as well yesterday, I believe. How real is his desire? I know you don't rep him and work with him, but like if he fights in October, would that mean this happens later, or is he trying to do October and January?
He'd be up for doing October and January, is what we've been told. But, that's okay if you're in it starts to get, you start bringing in injuries and niggles and cuts and that kind of stuff. So, for us, Saudi were never over the moon that we were fighting on August 12th. So now we've got that out of the way. Talks kind of stopped a couple of weeks ago because they just wanted us to get August 12th out of the way. So now that's out of the way. And we'll see them tomorrow and Wednesday and continue those and hopefully get it all wrapped up.
And, Dillian White feels like he's like way in the rearview mirror, but what becomes of Dillian White at this point from your perspective?
I think the problem is in the sport of boxing, there's no clear disciplinary procedure, especially when you're talking about VADA testing. I mean, we, through the instructions of Dillian White and Anthony Joshua, employed an additional layer of testing through VADA for that fight. So there's an adverse finding on Dillian White's test. But what happens next? He's not licensed by the British Boxing Board of Control. He's licensed by the Portuguese Boxing Federation. Are they going to play this process out and investigate it? I sometimes wish that VADA did handle disciplinary procedures, but they're just a testing reporting company. And they make that very clear on their statements as well. It's like no one wants to actually deal with the matter once there's an adverse finding. So, and also Dillian White can't really fight because I think the public, as we've seen with the Conner Benn situation, require you and want you to go through a specific procedure. But what is that procedure? Dillian White will want to try and clear his name, and he'll have to find a way, a commission, a governing body to run that investigation and try to prove his innocence. But it's made me think a lot, and I know you guys do, obviously, the USADA pool. And I started to think about maybe introducing contractual testing above and beyond individual events. So if you're a matchroom boxing fighter, you sign up to random testing, but we still have the same issue. If you say you're a matchroom boxing fighter and it's in your contract and you fail a random VADA, matchroom test, what happens next? We report that to the commission and they deal with it, but do they deal with it? Do they want to deal with it? I was like, everyone talks about improving the quality of testing, but no one seems to be grabbing the disciplinary process by the horns. And there certainly isn't a clear process in terms of the punishment. 3 years, 6 months, 5 years. I mean, no one really knows. We really want to make sure that disciplinary process is improved. But at the same time, it needs to be clearer.
So that all said, did you learn any lessons from the Conner Benn situation that you implemented in this one? And if so, what?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the two were very different. Substances were different, levels were different, everything's different. One was 7 weeks out, one was 1 week out. Also, at the other hand, one was a co-promotion, and our co-promoter who spoke to the opposing fighter wanted to look into the medical side of this, was happy for the fight to proceed. We leaned on the commission for an answer. They never gave us an answer within 6 weeks, and we got in a mess. We made mistakes, and this was 1 week out. It was a sole promotion. AJ's team looked at the results and said, no, we terminate the agreement, we get another opponent. So people keep looking at the similarities, and I guess there are some, but we hold our hands up 100%. We learned a lot from last time, but there still needs to be an established route in terms of the disciplinary procedure. Because the good news is someone that had a performance-enhancing substance in his body did not make his way into the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fantastic. But what happens now? You have to give the fighter the right to clear his name. And you have to play out a ban process or a punishment of some kind, because it's the only way it's going to deter fighters. So that's still cloudy, but we need to keep improving the levels of testing.
By the way, speaking of Conner Benn, will he fight in 2023?
Yeah, that's the plan. I mean, he's done everything that's been asked of him. He went through the WBC process. He's now been through the UK and the board process. They have an opportunity to appeal. They may appeal. It would be bizarre, but, it's kind of like the way this has all progressed with egos and a lot of politics. But, it's been a year and a half since he boxed and over a year since the test. And it's a frustrating process. And he's gone through all the processes that have been asked of him. And we hope that 100% he can get back in the ring in 2023.
It's great theater. And if you ask me, it was a 10-7 round for Eddie Hearn. But all the stuff, like the stuff that you do with Simon Jordan and Talksport and all, does it get tiresome at any point? Like you're still, the amount of times that I've heard you two talk about Conner Benn, I'm a little bit tired. Like, can we talk about something else?
But it's been like over a year of talking about Conner Benn. It's like they keep going back, and we hold our hands up. We never said we were perfect in this situation. But it's like, yeah, what about what you did? It's like, guys, we've had this conversation, we've had this debate. You tell us now that we acted, you were much happier with the way that we acted in the Dillian White situation. Good, we learn from it and we move on. But, there's a lot of interesting narratives that get spun over here, We've been fighting it a long time. It's probably my fault because I'm quite outspoken, but, it's a big show, that is. And, there's a lot of people that watch that. So last week I was buzzing because I had a little bit of positivity from UK fight fans for the first time in a long time. Don't worry, it'll all go out the window this week, but it was enjoyable while it lasted.
The disc jockey line was a good one. I like that one. That was a solid one. That was a good zinger. I mean, not quite disc jockey, but I liked it. I mean, I don't like when he gets personal with all that stuff, but it's great theater. You got Gareth sitting over there. He doesn't know how to chime in, when to chime in. It's wonderful to watch all of it. By the way, back to Conor McGregor. Were you surprised he called out KSI of all people in your ring after the fight?
For a bare knuckle. I mean, it was great. It was just wild. Like, you got KSI sitting there, Conor. I don't know what he's going to do. I mean, he keeps saying he's fighting in December. Is that even possible? I don't know, but
yes, I don't know either. But I wasn't expecting a KSI bare knuckle call out on the broadcast seconds after.
No.
He gave the broadcast more stuff than AJ did. He gave more to chew.
That's why we knew AJ weren't really up for an interview, so we drafted in Conor.
I mean, not a bad replacement. By the way, your level of interest, KSI, Tommy Fury.
Yeah, good. That's a great card. I mean, if Dillian Dennis turns up, I mean, it's going to be a huge event. And I take my hat off to KSI. I mean, he's getting better. And Tommy Fury, who's kind of squeaked past Jake Paul, should be better this time around. On paper, Tommy Fury should win the fight, but KSI, fair play to him. He's full of confidence. He's been working hard, and I'm gonna tune in for sure. It'll be a big event here in the UK.
I have said that KSI Jake Paul is the biggest fight that could be made in the UK, could sell out Wembley Stadium. Is that a crazy statement?
It's correct.
Why?
It's correct.
Oh, it is correct. Oh, I thought you said it's correct. That's a crazy statement. No, you agree?
No, it's correct. It would. Okay. You're right.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to sell out, especially with Logan. I mean, this Logan Paul is unbelievable. Did you see him in the WWE the other night?
Yeah, he's crazy. He's crazy.
I mean, listen, I haven't watched WWE since, I'm showing my age. Ultimate Warrior, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the Bushwhackers,
yes.
Jake the Snake, Hulk. I mean, that's my era. But I'm watching him going, I don't remember an athlete like that when I used to watch WWE. Unbelievable. I mean, whatever you think, I like Logan a lot more than I like Jake. But whatever you think about the Paul brothers, they are smart and they are talented, and especially Logan. And if he fights on that card against Dylan Dennis with KSI against Tommy Fury, that's a huge, huge show.
I know you had a busy week, but do you see their back and forth on Logan's show, and do you think they're setting up a fight between them?
Between
Jake and Logan. Did you see the clip? It was crazy. It was very.
I've seen the clip, but nothing would surprise me, Aaron.
Yeah.
Nothing. What do you think about brothers fighting?
It's not great, but like if you watch the clip, you're like, this seems inevitable. Logan's saying, I'm sick of people picking you because you're the easier fight. Then they talked about the Floyd fight, and Jake said that he actually thought he lost. Logan felt very offended that he was saying this for the first time. They were talking about the drinks on the broadcast, the zone, people getting like their managers getting involved. Like it was a lot of behind the scenes drama. I couldn't believe they were saying all this stuff.
I don't know. I mean, look, it would be massive. And these guys are mad on numbers. They're almost narcissistical when it comes to the desire for numbers. So that's the kind of thing that they would do and kind of shake hands before. And, you know, if they can shake hands after and make themselves 10 or 15, 20 million in the process each, I guess these guys are the type of people to do it.
Would you like to apologize to Nate Diaz? You weren't very high on his chances.
Oh, I mean, Ariel, it was awful. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. The event was unbelievable. You've done a great job, like, brilliant. But when you're talking about, I mean, look, you know mixed martial arts like the back of your hand. I know boxing like the back of my hand. I'm watching that and thinking, this is so bad. And the reason that Nate didn't get stopped is because Jake was, he didn't have the ability, like, he just doesn't know how to break a fighter down, cut off the ring, beat him up and stop him. But I give my props to Nate, super tough. But you're talking about low level in terms of standard, like not even, we have something in the UK called an area title, which is like the specific radius of, it's kind of like a state title, call it that. These guys wouldn't win a state title. Like that's the level they're fighting at. But listen, props to Nate. He definitely didn't have ability, but what he had was plenty of grit. But Jake just didn't, he hasn't got the ability or the experience to break someone down and stop them. And I was convinced he would.
Is he getting better though?
Not really.
Is he regressing?
It's so difficult to say because of the level of opposition. Like, I thought he did okay against Tommy Fury, but then when he's fighting Nate, like Nate's, I know he's super tough and you love him, but he's so limited as a boxer. I can't even tell you, like, and yeah, I don't know. I still respect Jake. Like he's putting the time in, he's sparring, he's doing rounds, and you know, the event was unbelievable. The numbers were great. Like, so, and it's still, although it was a boxer against an MMA guy, it was still a fight. It didn't feel like a YouTube event. Yeah. We had real boxing on the undercard, Amanda Serrano, you know, this stuff. So I like the events, and I think he's doing a great job in that respect.
Just a couple more, and I'll let you go. Where do things stand with you and MVP? And there's a reason why I'm asking you this, but if you could first tell us that. You know, I know the lawsuit and all that. Is that all cleared up, or is it still pending?
It's ongoing, to be honest with you. It definitely hasn't been settled yet, so that continues. But you know, hopefully we can find a resolution. You know, there doesn't seem to be a lot of remorse about what was said, and we take our business and our ethics and our, you know, long-standing heritage in the sport very, very seriously. So no resolution yet.
The reason I asked you that question is, other than any Katie Taylor fight, the fight as far as women's boxing is concerned that interests me the most right now, like a dream fight, if you will, is Amanda Serrano versus Alicia Baumgartner. She was there. She made her feelings known. I'm talking about Alicia at the fight in Dallas. Would this issue prevent that fight from being made? And how Amanda was a little bit hesitant, like, to really speak on the fight, but that to me is an all-time great fight. So I'm just curious if anything could prevent that, and how high you are on that fight.
We had the issue while we negotiated the rematch, and we got the rematch made. Amanda couldn't take the fight because of injury. I agree with you. I think Amanda Serrano against Alicia Baumgartner is an incredible fight. Undisputed featherweight champ against undisputed super featherweight champ. Obviously, in terms of the big fights, you've got Cameron Taylor November 25th, and Alicia wants Serrano. She wants the winner of that fight. She wants the loser of that fight. She's ready for all the big fights. But Amanda's been a great servant to the sport, and I think she's really only going to want the biggest paydays out. I think Amanda wants Katie Taylor win or lose November 25th, you know. But certainly that's going to be a huge night. And Alicia wants to enter that mix of mega fights.
A lot of people were saying that Francis Ngannou screwed up. Are you surprised he ended up with Tyson Fury in Saudi Arabia?
Why do they feel he screwed up?
Well, I mean, even with you, I think you were saying that like maybe he was asking for too much, or he was shooting for too big of a name. He was playing his cards a little bit, the wrong way. I think a lot of people weren't expecting come April, May, and he signed with PFL. People were like, maybe you're going to get maybe you'll get a Derek Chisora type, with all due respect, not Tyson Fury. He ended up with Tyson, the lineal heavyweight champ, on a massive stage with a lot of money attached. I mean, he kind of proved a lot of people wrong. Would you not say?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I spoke to him, I actually thought maybe he should take a couple of easier fights and like build his credibility to that mega fight. But he made it quite clear he just wanted to go straight into the big fight. And I think the reason for that, in all honesty, and I said this to Nate Diaz, his manager, as well, I said that he should do the same thing. But the problem is they're not very good. And if you do that, you get exposed as having no chance, right? So the mystery of, wow, can he punch hard? Well, and when you actually see the fight, you're going to realize very quickly, as we did with Floyd and Conor, they can't win. I mean, that was a lot more competitive than this is going to be. And yes, one punch knockout power and stuff like that, but it's boxing versus MMA. It's absolutely irrelevant, right? And he's done 100% the right thing. He's got the max as quickly as possible without anybody having to see it, right? Because he could go in a small fight for less money, and you could go, you actually can't put this guy in the ring with Tyson Blood. It's actually a huge mismatch. So the mystery of, is it a mismatch? Does he punch as hard as everyone says? Oh, he was once a boxer. Oh, makes you tune in. So I think he's played a blinder. Good luck to him. What a lovely guy. Going to make a lot of money. Good luck to him.
Haney Prograis, is that going to happen?
I think so. Actually, he messaged me just before I came on here. Everyone's getting a little bit restless. Regis has signed, but we are also currently looking at dates and venues. Trying to marry that up with a very busy schedule globally for big events. I mean, that's one of them. October 28th was one of our preferred dates. It's also Fury against Ngannou. I'm sure that'll be a pay-per-view on ESPN. But I'm very confident you see Devin Haney against Regis Prograis next, tying it up, and hope to have it done this week.
Why isn't Lee Wood fighting at the City Ground?
Because unfortunately it was October and it's right in the middle of the football season. And the groundsman said, you are not coming on destroying my pitch after a couple of games into the season. So we have obviously Nottingham and Leeds. Sheffield is right in the middle, holds like 11,000. There's like 700 tickets left. It's going to be, we're splitting the venue down the middle. Leeds on one side, Nottingham on the other side. It's going to be absolutely wild in there. And I promised Lee Wood, the only way I can keep him if he wins this fight is by delivering in the City Ground next. He's desperate for it. And the timing would work well because it's kind of like 1 or 2 weeks where you get the chance to do it. And that's like May. So if he wins, he'll get City Ground. And if Josh Warrington wins, he'll probably get Ellen Road as well. But October was the sticking point. Okay.
And I want to give a shout out to head of content for Matchroom, Alex, great guy. He posted this promo for that fight. Oh my God, that was beautiful stuff. Really amazing. Anyone should go check it out.
Great work, Haney.
Yeah, he's amazing, and the whole team is amazing. Okay, finally, last one. You mentioned it, November 25th. Katie Taylor, Chantel Cameron 2. Did you try to convince Katie to do this fight at 135?
No, I mean, it's kind of like, it's very similar to the Canelo and Bivol situation. Katie said, the same terms as last time, because I'm not bringing her down in weight. And everyone's saying, oh, you couldn't beat her at 140. She's so stubborn. It's like, I need to beat her on exactly the same terms as last time. Chantel Cameron done an unbelievable job. And I think 140 suits Chantel better than 135 in all honesty. So, but she wanted a chance to become a double undisputed champion. So she was up for 135, but Katie just said, no, same as last time. But this time, Chantel's the A side. It's Cameron against Taylor. She's arguably pound for pound number one now. It's a huge rematch. She's very confident. I think Katie's a big underdog in the fight, but very stubborn and desperate for revenge.
I'm not worried, just a little anxious. I was hoping 135. That's what I was pulling for, just to get it back in her favor. That's all. You know, it makes me nervous. It makes me nervous.
She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't do it.
She wouldn't do it. Cameron's incredible. Much love and respect to her.
Fantastic fighter. You know, sometimes I spoke to her the other day. She just kind of always feels that I'm obviously Katie's my number one, which, you know, we've got a great relationship with her. But honestly, I've said to her, you've done amazing. She's beat everybody. She may be unbeatable, Chantel Cameron. You know, I'm talking about Serrano, Baumgardner, Ryan. I'm not sure she can get beat, but, you know, she's back into Dublin. Big favourite going into the fight, and we can't wait.
Pleasure as always, Eddie. Congrats on a big week. You guys saved the show. Very reminiscent of MMA. We see this a lot in MMA. Last minute, this guy flies in, and the show gets saved, and all the fighters get saved.
Someone said to me, what about having the opponent, the new opponent, as a mystery opponent on the night?
The music plays. That would be great. That'd be right out of Misfits.
I know. You know, I'm just thinking, no, maybe.
This Brandon Scott fellow, when he had that little, and then you said something.
Baddest man on the planet is his new nickname.
That is a great. He did that whole thing, and then you said something like, "All right, Brandon, thank you for that," and just moved on. It was great comedic.
But he got a lot of stick, Ariel. Like, he got a lot of stick, and he didn't take it very well. He's like, oh, you know, I said, listen, if you're going to turn up in a press conference dressed as Spider-Man, expect criticism.
Right.
You know? But I promise you, everyone that saw you at the press conference will remember your name.
For sure. No,
Brandon Scott or Spider-Man, they'll remember your name.
He was getting hate for that? I thought it was funny. Why not?
Yeah, a lot. Twitter, you know, it's like
X, actually. It's X now.
X.
Appreciate the time as always, and good luck this weekend. You have another big show this weekend, and then
thank you. I'll get some more furniture in the office next time.
Yeah, if you could just populate just for the acoustics, it would be nice. Thank you, Eddie, as always. Appreciate it. There he is, Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Sport. We checked off a lot on that list. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.